Welcome back to your Friday dose of the Gleemen, everyone. I'm Drew, your host, in my unorthodox office of the week, and I'm joined by our temporary co-host, Kira, who's looking for someone else to entertain her. So this week, Vance tagged me in the accepted test that has been making its way through the WoTTube community, and yeah, I wanted to respond to these questions. I think these questions are a great dive into someone's experience of the Wheel of Time and how they kind of fit into the world that Robert Jordan built us. So here we go. Plain and simple, my mom. The Redwall book series was my first probably foray into a larger fantasy series as a kid. And I'd say that really got me going on fantasy books, on bigger books, and on larger worlds. And so this is, 5th grade, 6th grade. And after I had read through all of those, this was right around the time that Peter Jackson gave us the Lord of the Rings movies. And so naturally I went and read the books, and coming off of that, it was Christmas, and my mom, I suppose, had Googled what a kid enjoying Lord of the Rings would want to read next. Introduce the first 3 books of the Wheel of Time. Yeah, and so then throughout my teenage years, there I was, reading the Wheel of Time. What Ajah do I want to be? I want to be green. They sound fun, it sounds cool. I mean, devoting your life to fighting monsters with magic. Come on, man, who doesn't want to do that? What Ajah am I and what I actually fit into? I'm a brown. No doubt. The Eye of the World. Man, that, and I don't mean the book, I mean the place, the phenomenon, or the piece of world building, the actual eye of the world. I thought that was so cool. It was so evocative to see the one power congealed into or condensed into this pool, this pool of Sidene that, when you throw a rock into it, it just dissolves into infinity. I felt like that captured the wonder of what the one power might be in this book series. Ironically, we never hear anything else about how that works, and we don't ever see that mechanism again. So, there you go. The Black Tower obviously begins as a military organization with its goal to teach channelers how to be valuable combatants in the last battle. But even within the books, they begin diversifying. So how would they diversify? What would the Ashramen begin to focus on and centralize as core aspects of, I don't know if it's public service necessarily, while that seems to be the seed of Aes Sedai thought, but it leans that way. So what disciplines will the Ashramen begin to rally around? We know that healing will be a focus. I mean, that's a fundamental human need. There's an obvious parallel to the Yellow Ajah, and that's not going anywhere. I mean, why does every developed country have a developed healthcare industry? It's not going anywhere. So we're going to have a mirror Yellow Ajah. Civil engineering. We've already seen the Ashramen building and developing and learning how to construct and improve buildings with the one power. Of course, this is going to expand, and as they're accepted into society in this new age, their abilities with Earth especially will cement them as necessary parts of civil engineering. So, and I think that there's so much to learn and understand about how to organize a city, how to construct buildings. I think that'll become its own discipline within the tower. I don't think the tower will lose its military flavor, and the obvious sub-disciplines of military practice are assault and defense. I think we might see 2 different opposite green Ajahs. One where there's a focus on fortification, defense, organization of non-magical defenses and non-magical peacekeeping forces. And I think we'll also see a more direct reflection of the green, with Ashaman focusing on battle skills and tactics, optimum ways to assault forces in different circumstances. But with the shadow bound again, I could be wrong. We may totally move away from this focus. Espionage. So the Ashaman demonstrated zero subtlety in the exercise of their power within the series. Unlike the Aes Sedai, who, for obvious reasons, for the last several thousand years, have maintained an air of secrecy and at times even infiltrate situations. And this is common among the Aes Sedai because it needed to be their modus operandum for their safety. The Ashaman, on the other hand, are not bound by oaths to restrict their use of the power. They blatantly wear swords and black cloaks with pins declaring who they are. So the general modus operandi of an Ashaman will not be secretive. But within that, the One Power affords so many opportunities and tools for espionage. I think this might become a more focused and honed discipline among a few of the Ashaman. For political, peacekeeping, or industrial reasons, there's always a reason to spy on someone. Finally, in the near term, the Ashaman need an anti-red Ajah. Now, I know the red Ajah is not out there hunting men who can channel anymore. The White Tower has moved beyond that. The White Tower has moved beyond that protocol or that dictum. But you can't tell me everyone in society has moved beyond the very reasonable prejudice against men who can channel. So I think we would see a sub-organization or Ajah within the Black Tower of men who seek out other men who are beginning to channel or who can channel and scoop them out of prejudiced situations, guide them or help them integrate into society, generally protect them from the prejudice they might otherwise experience. Definitely Lan. I mean, look, being an exiled king of a fallen country and a consummate warrior BA who's bent upon protecting, whose sole focus is protecting his Aes Sedai and is deeply in love with a very conflicted woman, that's cool. That's great character reading. But Lan's pretty straight-laced. He doesn't sound like the most entertaining guy to sit down and have a beer with. Granted, I think Lan could probably tell some great stories, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to sit down and tell stories over a beer. Personally, I can't wait to see how Rafe and team will portray the battle at the end of The Dragon Reborn. For me, I think that's the first extremely cinematic battle that I remember really connecting to. Yes, I mean, you're right, Vance. The battle at the end of The Great Hunt, you know, with the Horn of Valir and the heroes and battling in the sky and out on the ocean, that's very evocative. It's very cool. But it didn't touch the same level of metaphysical depth for me that the battle at the end of The Dragon Reborn did. You know, all of the forays through, you know, this maze of layers of ter'angreal and all of the traps and the way the One Power was woven into it. For me, that just really cemented this world. So here's to an epic presentation of that battle. No contest, my favorite covers are the classic covers. It's nostalgia for me. Those are the books I read, you know, the physical books that I read 6 or 8 times as a teenager were those classic covers. So I'll always love them. Least favorite, those super plain, like monocolor covers with nothing but the title and the serpent and the wheel. Come on, like, It's clean. I get that argument. It has a nice shelf presentation, but if I love the busy, campy classic covers, the true antithesis to that is a flat color with just a clean title. Probably my favorite question on this test. I would design a ter'angreal that looked like maybe a 20, 30 foot wide bronze disc with some, pattern, maybe geometric or swirling etching or patterning on it. So it would be maybe set in the center of a plaza, or set into the ground somewhere. And anyone who sat or stood on the platform, on the disc, and touched someone else who was sitting or standing on the disc would be drawn into a dream shard where their mind and their person could be fully manifested. And so my idea here is that ter'angreal and the way the one power can draw you into it offers a totally unique opportunity for someone to understand another person or to be understood by another person. Two people could fully elaborate an idea, or they could get to know one another. I mean, they could blend personalities into a gestalt of the two of them and really explore some amazing things, really deeply understand someone. The opportunities for therapy are untold. If you're wise gurus of how to deal with trauma, how to move on as a human being, or how to come to terms with things, and you have someone who needs that wisdom, you don't have to wait for the slow process of talking it out and helping them interpolate and come to understand what you're meaning. You can bring someone on that journey very directly. So I think there's a ton of applications there. Maybe we even start conducting our public forums for policy here. The failings of politics disappear when you can utterly know and be known. So maybe that's a use. Granted, there are some definite misuses where pathologically deranged people or criminally insane, however you want to say that, might inculcate their pathologies into other people. But I think we could mitigate that with some overseers of the ter'angreal. I think it'd be okay. We'd get there. If you're going to read something else fantasy and you haven't already read it, go read the Kingkiller Chronicles. Now, I know Daniel Green doesn't like them, and I know we all like Daniel Green, but I have to disagree with him about those books. I think those books are an awesome, tragic presentation of an exceptionally talented person who is also exceptionally flawed in his pride, lack of personal insight, and really self-awareness, in his younger years as he goes through these extraordinary circumstances. And those books are just beautifully written. I mean, they're in essence poetry telling a story. So go read them. All right, so I'm actually tagging our new reader, Matt, who you've seen on the last couple of Wednesdays, because once he gets past the spoilers that are in this test, I really want to hear his thoughts. I want to hear how a brand new reader would respond to all of these things. I've loved hearing how this test brought out other creators' experience of this world from the Wheel of Time, and I hope that you enjoyed my personal take. So we'll see you again on Monday at the Gleemen. Bye.